Hi folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. Yeah, I'm probably going to step in it in this video. I have a tendency to try to, I try to be nice, but I have a tendency to kind of speak my mind at times. And I understand that the truth offends people and the truth can hurt, but sometimes the truth is just necessary to get the point across. It will set you free. So I understand that the topic that I'm gonna kind of blab on and get on my stump here and do my little stump speech, it might come across as being harsh, but I don't know. I don't know how to put it any other way. Question is do we really even need a reset? You know, we've talked for what, 2 or 3 years now. Whew, this hair. If I don't get a haircut soon, I'm gonna just shave it. My wife said she's gonna give me one today, but we've been busy, so we'll see. Anyways, it's starting to get hot. You know, it's warming up outside, and I got all this long hair, and it's getting hot. Do we really even need a reset? We've been hearing about that for at least 3 years now, right? Since what, March of 2020 was when we first started really hearing about it. This great reset, and that it's necessary. Folks like myself and many others, YouTubers and radio show people, and just truth tellers, have been opposing this great reset. But the question is do we need a reset, or is it just that we're opposing the way they're wanting to do it? And I'll be honest with you, I'm not opposed to a reset. I'm opposed to their reset. I personally believe we need a reset. We need our civilization, not just this country. I'm not talking about revolution. I'm not talking about secession. I'm not talking about a divorce of the union or states. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about we as a species, as people, we need a reset. And I'm all for it. In fact, as much as you might want to think I'm an awful person, I pray for it. Now, I don't pray for it in the sense that all these people would just die and everything, but I pray that the Father would open eyes, open hearts, and purge this world of this wickedness that's become so pervasive. And like I said, it's way bigger than just politics or a virus or wars or all that. Those are all symptoms of the problem. In my mind, and this is both physically and spiritually, both the physical realm and the spiritual realm, our civilization has kind of run, it's overextended itself. It's kind of run itself into the ground. And we've seen this throughout history. If you look at past civilizations, Roman Empire, Greek, before Noah's time, led up to the flood, you know, Sodom and Gomorrah. And there's evidence that a lot of these, you know, like the Mayan Empire and stuff that kind of just disappeared. You know, they were great and grand and then it kind of disappeared. There's evidence that this kind of debauchery and just, I don't know, horribleness got into their culture and to where they couldn't keep it together. You know, it pulled them apart. And I think that's probably one of the biggest things that causes civilizations to collapse. I mean, you could say, well, it's because they devalued their dollar, because they overextended themselves and spread too big and they couldn't protect their borders. Yeah, yes. Those are the technical reasons. But the real reason, I think, that you look at most of these large civilizations of the past that we know of, they began to crumble and fall because they lost their humanity. I don't know how to put it any other way. They lost their humanity. In Matthew 24 verse 12, I believe that's 24 verse 12, because 24:13 talks about those that endure to the end shall be saved. But in 24 verse 12, Yeshua is talking about what I believe is very much where we're living now. It's not necessarily the end times, meaning right up until the end. But he's talking about as the world just continues to progress, that people will, that this iniquity will fill them, and that their love will wax cold. And what I believe, and I'm no theologian, and I'm not saying this is what this means. This is my personal interpretation. And if you don't agree with that, that's totally fine. I don't believe it's necessarily the love for the Father or following the law. I believe it's love for each other. It's humanity. It's their humanity. I believe that's another word for it. Because what makes us different from animals, I believe, in a biological and intellectual point of view, is that we have compassion for each other. I mean, you can teach an animal to do a lot of things. I mean, there's videos of you know, apes using rudimentary tools and stuff. But what makes us different is that we have a soul, right? I mean, not just a spiritual soul with, you know, that the Father in heaven has imparted his life into us. But there's that soul that we're all the same, and that we for the most part have compassion for our fellow man. And I believe that's really what Yeshua is talking about. In my personal opinion, I haven't always believed that, but I've kind of come to evolve to believe this in that particular scripture, because looking around at the world, it's like, it's not just that the world is evil. It's not just that the world is doing lascivious things and all of it. It's that the world, it's like it's lost its humanity. When you look at videos and you hear news reports of these people that are doing these horrible things to each other for no reason whatsoever. I mean, there's always been crime. There's always been really bad behavior, people doing bad things to each other. But typically, and I know this is a very generalization of this, but hold on. I'm feeling really dehydrated today. Don't tell my wife, because she'll get on to me and she'll say, I keep telling you, you need to be drinking more water. But anyways, so there's always been bad people doing bad things. And I know, I mean, I come from a law enforcement career. I've seen lots. I've seen like the worst of people represented. Some really bad things. But typically, people do bad things for a purpose. Right? There's a purpose there. They're trying to take something from you, or you're a threat to them, or, you know, there's some sadistic, you know, desire to harm you, whether physically or sexually or something. There's usually a reason. It doesn't make it right. Please don't think that's what I'm saying. But there's usually a reason why they're doing it. Today we're seeing people do these horrible things against other people for no reason whatsoever. We're seeing people walk up to a homeless man on a city street in broad daylight in front of everyone, casually take his time trying to figure out how to use this gun he's got in his hand, you know, piddle around with it, and then just walk over and shoot him, the homeless guy, in the head, and walk away, and everyone's like, oh my goodness, that's so bad, and they do nothing about it. Like, what's the point of that? I've seen videos of people that they just attack each other, and then once they get someone on the ground, they're literally beating their brains into the pavement. Horrible, horrible things. It's not enough that they, you know, establish who's the dominant, you know, person, who's the boss, you know, who is at the top of the pecking order, and then it's like, okay, you whip my butt, you know, you won, move on. No, they're doing it till they beat their brains into the pavement. The animalistic behavior that we're seeing in society, I think, is becoming more and more profound. I think that we're watching, and I don't necessarily recommend this movie. I'm going to admit something that I'm embarrassed to say, but I did watch the movie because I had people advising me and recommending you should watch this, but it has horrible language in it, horrible language. And I was embarrassed watching. I mean, I don't like watching that anymore, that kind of stuff. I've changed my life. And I try not to. My mother always told me, and this was a rule in our house, if I don't allow you to talk that way and I don't allow you to do those things, why would I allow you to sit and watch that? Why would I allow you to bring that into the home? That was always a rule growing up. It's a rule at our house. But anyways, that movie, Idiocracy, that's playing out before our eyes, where people just get so dumbed down that it's like, and I don't believe in evolution, but it's like we're evolving backwards, you know. But not even that's true either, because animals in the wild don't behave the way that we're seeing people behave. The intelligence of the average person is dropping. I mean, that's statistically proven. You can prove that in tests. You take a test that was given to a high schooler, a freshman or sophomore in high school back in 1900, and you couldn't find the average college graduate that could pass that test. I've seen these tests, and you can look them up. I've looked at these tests, and I consider myself a pretty smart person, and I have a difficult time answering all of these questions. And this has all been done for purpose. There is a men behind the curtain, these people that are ruling the world, and they're doing it because they serve Satan. Okay, and it also talks about in the Bible that as the last days come about, that that Satan, who is the prince of this earth, that his power will become more powerful, that his reign will become greater on this earth. And so we're seeing that, and we're seeing that through our education system, that they dumb kids down, and to the point now, 20 years ago they were dumbing them down. That 20 years ago they were teaching them frivolous things that didn't help them become smarter because they were dumbing them. Now it's not that they're dumbing them down, it's that they're turning them into like cavemen. You watch these videos in schools, and I've heard personal accounts from people that it's not just that they're not learning valid things in school, it's that it's a zoo. These schools are just zoos. The amount of the garbage that's out on TV and on the internet and in video games and in music, the whole entertainment and social media tech industry, it's promoting ignorance. It's promoting this animalistic behavior. It's promoting to the people to completely throw away any type of godly love for their brother, or that humanity. That's what that is. That's what humanity is. Okay, to me, in my mind, humanity is having that godly love for your brother, which is commanded. You love God, and then you love your brother. That's what Yeshua said. And people have turned away from that. They couldn't care less about that. We can go into third world nations today, and what would be considered more primitive people, developing nations as they're called, but third world nations today. And you can find people living in squalor that have nothing, no electricity, no running water, garbage everywhere, and they have more humanity, more compassion, more love for their brother than people do today in the modern world. It's just true. It's harsh, but it's true. And it's only going to get worse. Private schools are getting bad. Churches, not saying all of them, don't get me wrong, there's still some good churches out there, but so many of them, so many pastors, so many denominations are just, they're watering down their message. And that's been going on for a long time, and it's just getting worse. People, same way. Because you're around it so much, it desensitizes you. It's psychological. The psychological operations I talk about all the time. It's exactly that. It's totally psychological. You force feed them. You have this all around them, okay? And then it desensitizes you. If you live in an area where there's lots of alcohol, right? Booze, people drinking, restaurants have everybody's walking around carrying a bottle. It'd be like living in the middle of Vegas on the Strip. That's pretty much how it is there. I can't stand that place. But imagine being around that 24/7. Imagine living on the Strip in Vegas 24/7. And you could have the strongest morals in the world, but at some point it's not gonna affect you as much. When you see the half-naked people and the drunk people and the alcohol and all these things, you've become desensitized. It's become a norm for you. And so then you start beginning to go down this path where you're accepting a little bit more. Well, it's okay. You can still be a good person and behave that way. You can still be righteous and do that. And then we are where we're at today, where people are trying to justify all of these completely ungodly, immoral behaviors and say that you can still be a good person and do these things. And we know that that's not true. Anyone that reads the Bible and it just takes it on face value, and anyone that knows human history, I mean, you don't even have to be that religious of a person. Just understand human history, and you can figure out that most of these things that are being told that it's normal now are not. They're horrible behaviors. And so getting back to my original question is, do we need a reset? Absolutely, we need a reset. Some people might say, well, a revival. Maybe we need a revival. And if that's what happens, we've seen little pockets that could be possibly that. If that's it, that's great. But honestly, I think a reset is what we need. And as horrible as that sounds, and when I say that, I mean a real reset, you know, very much like a purge, something to happen that would kind of purge out a lot of the kind of the scum, the bottom feeders, okay? I know that's horrible. I'm a horrible person for saying that. You go ahead and say it. Tell me. It's fine. But someone's got to say it at some point. At some point, you got to call white, white, and black, black. You got to call good, you know, and bad and evil for what they are. You know, a man is a man and a woman is a woman. And you just, at some point, someone needs to just say that that's the case. And the fact is that our society, our civilization has needed a reset for a long time. Because if we did that, it's just a natural progression. We would get back. We would go from the weak men that's caused bad times to those bad times causing kind of a collapse, a purge, a reset, and then the strong men would start building again. That's what we need. And we're going to most likely see that. The reset, the great reset that these world leaders are doing, they know a reset's coming. They're just hoping to grab a hold of the steering wheel, or how I have used the analogy, that plane's crashing, okay? They know it. Klaus Schwab, George Soros, Bill Gates, BlackRock, all those people, they know that the plane is crashing. We've overextended this civilization. They know it's crashing. They're hoping to guide that crash to a certain point down below that it's beneficial to them of where it hits. That's all we're seeing. The plane is going to crash no matter what, whether it's now, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, but it's crashing. It's in that process, much like the Roman Empire and the Greek Empire and the British Empire and the Mayans and the Persians, and they collapse at some point. So they get taken over by someone, bad things happen. Usually there's death. Usually the weakest don't survive, because whether it's war or famine or lack of services or just, you know, there's just not enough stuff going around, the weak people kind of die off. But usually there is a purge when civilizations collapse. And so we're headed to that. It's just these world leaders are trying to control it so that it collapses at a certain point in time that's beneficial to them. So I'm not opposed to a reset. I'm opposed to their reset. I think it's necessary. I think it's going to happen. And I'm not 100% convinced that their version of the Great Reset is going to happen even if they control it. It's quite possible. It's a gamble. It's quite possible civilization could collapse and they be wrong. I mean, it's definitely possible. But the point is that a collapse is coming. I believe it. I can't see it any other way. I don't know that there's, next to a miraculous thing from the Father, and I'm not saying he can't do things, just saying that what we know, typically this is how it happens. The collapses happen, resets happen, the weak, the bottom feeders, and I'm not saying physically weak, the mental, the spiritual weak ones, the ones that have engaged in this debauchery and this horrible behaviors, this lascivious lifestyles. You know, the ones that, you know, I'm a girl, I wear a diaper and have a pacifier in my mouth. You know, those kind of people, unfortunately, probably are not going to survive this. The people that say, yes, I'm 800 pounds and it's totally normal. It's healthy and normal. They're probably not going to survive this. It's just the harsh reality. Someone needs to say that. It's not being mean. It's just being honest. Don't allow yourself to be one of those that don't make it because you're not prepared. Whether it's having enough stuff put away, living in the best location that you can survive, being as healthy as you can, having the knowledge and the skills, and then also the mental capacity, the mental strength, the fortitude to endure the trauma that we're going to see and experience. And then also, most importantly, the spiritual closeness to the Father, the Creator, God, Yeshua, that we've got to get as close to Him, as close to that rock as possible, so that when things are at their worst, that we have Him to cling to. And we've got to do these things, folks, because I believe a reset is happening as we're speaking. Resets aren't like Hollywood. They don't just one day you wake up and the resets happen. It takes decades. The Roman Empire took a century or more. So we're definitely seeing it. It's going to happen. But let's just focus on getting ourselves ready to ride out this storm, because I think the storm's going to hit regardless of what happens and what we do. Folks, now is time to get your house in order. It's time to prepare mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thank you for watching. I'll catch you in the next video.